Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 8th of December, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at currencies. Then we'll look at US stock markets, which have had a really good move overnight, European markets, Asian markets, and then commodities, and last of all, some stocks. So we start with the dollar index, pulling back, much as we've been saying this week, just pulling back here. We see the last several trading days. We're below the cloud, just starting to make new lows this morning, just starting to move towards these downside targets. So this pullback is really what we would expect. We've had a good run. We had a pullback in early November, another big run since the election, and now pulling back until we find some support. But the interesting thing is at the moment we do have downside targets, just short-term bearish for the dollar, but long-term still very, very bullish. So we just need to recognize this is a pullback within the trend. If we look at the euro, much the same picture in reverse. So euro is breaking to new highs this morning. Short term, this is looking quite bullish. We've got upside targets now to 112 being activated, but we are bearish in the long term below the clouds on both the weekly and the daily charts. My long term cloud is bearish, and my medium term picture is bearish with downside targets. So for the moment, some respite for the euro. And of course, if you want to look at that in the really short term, if you're trading currencies, take a look at the 1 minute chart. Just press the T key, and we do have this 110.80 target. We can adjust the box size here, just going smaller, 108.90, and smaller still, 108.09, 108.07. That's a cluster. That looks pretty likely, so we're going to get through 108 quite quickly this morning by the looks of things. So if we take a look at yen also, we're seeing the dollar yen just now pulling back. Yen is just showing the upper hand, and new downside targets here, so that's quite key as well. Sterling recovering this morning, was looking a little bit more bearish yesterday. We do have this new down target as a result of that thrust, but we have to move below 125.80 to activate that to 122.74. But at the moment, sterling having a little bit of a recovery, still bearish on all three time frames with this sell-off recently. Is this just a short-term respite? Will we get back through the cloud, or will we make a lower high and then a lower low, which would be confirmation of the bearish move? We see on the euro, sterling pulling back as well. So we're seeing this sterling has had the upper hand, now pulling back. Still, the euro is bearish, sterling is bearish long term. And if we look at Swiss, we're seeing that the same picture. There's the pullback in sterling to a bearish move. We're still below the cloud. And on the Aussie, just as a last check, we're also bearish. Now, taking a look at US stock markets, the S&P 500 really moved last night, motored right up to 2241. It's a really big move, and that now means we've really properly broken out here. And so we're moving away from the cloud significantly. 2263 was the target. That's another 1% upside. On these medium-term charts, we've still got targets of 15, 20, and 25%. So it looks like the US stock market next year will have a good year. And that's what we expect to see. On the Nasdaq, we see here that we are just coming back through the cloud here. Wouldn't take much now in today's trading for the Nasdaq to turn bullish. We need to get above this 4900 level on the Nasdaq 100 to break this resistance level. We look at the Dow. And that's making new all-time highs. 20,000 Dow Jones looking very likely quite soon. The Russell 2000 again moving higher. And if we just look at the futures this morning, we see if we look at the Nasdaq E-mini, for example, futures are looking pretty strong. They're set to open just slightly up today. And if you're trading the Nasdaq E-mini, you might then want to. We're short of some short-term chart targets on this chart. So going to the 1 minute chart, if we just go to the 1 minute chart, press the T key. And we've got this downside target hanging over us at 45.50. If I just change the box size down here, we're now getting more sensitive to targets. We've got 49.12, and if we go to the one box chart, this is 1 point for each move. We're seeing here it could go either way. We still have this target that was put in on the 5th of December, 48.65. That wouldn't get us through the 4900 level. Quite useful sometimes to see if you've got targets that are greater than that resistance that's showing up on the medium or longer term charts on the short term chart, because that means you can move before the breakout if you can spot the targets building. If we look at the FTSE 100, we see here that that was bullish yesterday. Holding on to that mostly this morning, just down very, very slightly, but bullish now on all three time frames. The FTSE 250 also coming through, so that's now bullish as well, just holding the bullish cloud position here on the lagging line. The DAX was the real story yesterday, breaking that 10,800 level, straight through 11,000 today, so that is now bullish on all time frames, so the German DAX looking pretty good. The Nikkei, again, looking pretty bullish, continuing its run. And if we look at Hang Seng, just holding the bullish position here on the medium-term chart and bullish on the short term. So Asian markets all looking pretty good. Sensex not quite getting above the high that we saw at the end of November, but having a go. And we've got good upside targets here, 4% upside. So Sensex looks like it will recover. And we see the Australian market now bullish on all three time zones as well. So here we've got the short-term chart bullish with upside targets to 5 and 7%. Medium-term targets 13 and 18% above the cloud, and the long-term chart now pretty bullish as well. So Australia looking pretty good. Looking at commodities, crude oil just wandered through the cloud yesterday, so we're just not managing to hold the OPEC move. Means a pullback, not dissimilar to what we've been seeing in the dollar index, just pulling back now, having had a strong run. We did make new highs, so that is bullish, and we are coming out of the cloud. And the strong time of year is the first bit of the year, so as we head into the next quarter, we will see crude probably making a long-term recovery trend transition. So that starts to mean that we will see oil going higher. The long-term trend suggests that. And if we look at WTI, we see much the same thing here. We're just coming through on the cloud as you would expect. Nat gas, US nat gas has had a good run lately. We're through on the weekly, through on the daily, but again, and just pulled back yesterday, but nothing to worry about. We're still within the above the cloud. We go straight to the gold price. Gold is now just getting back above that cloud, recovering. We do now have upside targets, 1200, 1198, 1204. So 2 and 2.5% upside. But we are still pretty bearish here. We haven't turned bearish yet on the weekly. Will we find support in the lagging line and start to move? The one hope for gold is it does recover quite strongly in the new year. So we will see gold prices potentially rising in the next few weeks. We look at silver. Silver looking more bullish, very convincingly through on the weekly, making a short-term trend transition as we speak, and upside targets of 1, 2, and potentially 7% if we go higher still. Tends to be a little bit of a lead indicator for gold, so we'll just keep a watch on that. US government yields on the 10-year sitting at 2.36%, so just flattening at the moment. Last of all, some stocks. Apple just recovering, not quite through the cloud on the short term. Google now coming back through the cloud. Looks like the Nasdaq stocks are now going to have their move, having lagged really behind most of the market. And we see here Facebook just coming off the bottom here, got an upside target to 118. Really good long-term upside targets, but we just need tech to really get motoring. Microsoft through, had a very good night last night, up 2%, and just starting to try and break this resistance level. The chart looking really, really good long term, with good upside targets as well. And then Nvidia, the stock that's been stellar this year, just getting back above the cloud as well, but no clear short-term upside targets. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.